Upper Deck EPAC. There hasn't been much more controversial anything inside the hockey card hobby since Upper Deck released EPAC a few years ago. There's been a lot of pros, a lot of cons. We're going to talk about it today. My name is Travis with Puck Rips, and we're doing a conversation style video today. And we got my boy Sweet Leaf here. Mike, introduce yourself to the folks.
Yeah, my name's Mike. I'm a Pisces, and I like long walks on the beach. No, so guys, yeah, my name's Sweet Leaf. I'm gonna be joining Mr. Puck Rips today, and hope to have a good conversation.
Yeah, like it may have been funny, but I actually made him send me his profile like that when I was trying to see if it'd be a good fit for the conversation. And then we had to test it out. So beach went well, but now we're here for some conversations about hockey cards. Puck Rips, we do a lot of unboxings here on the channel. We're going to be doing more top 5s, top 10 style videos, and something I wanted to add into the repertoire were conversation style videos. Talked to a few people in the community, some of the supporters and stuff like that. I thought Mike and I had some really good chemistry, some good back and forths and such, and he's a very knowledgeable person in terms of hockey cards. And one of the most knowledgeable things that he has about himself in the hobby is that he loves EPAC. He is a proponent of EPAC. He's purchased a lot more EPAC than I have, so I wanted to pick his brain to go over some of the pros and cons with EPAC that he's noticed. So before we get into some of the deep pieces of it, tell us about some of the successes that you've had over on EPAC.
Yeah, well, I think my biggest success you benefited the most from. So
Maybe.
I did pull the Allure 101 Matthew Kachuk Golden Treasures, which coincidentally made its way to your house. But yeah, I've had a ton of big hits off EPAC, a lot of stuff for my PC, a lot of things that I've been using to trade to other people. So yeah, a lot of really cool things that I've been able to procure off of EPAC.
And I do appreciate the Matthew Kachuk on that. And I'll still never forget the day that I just opened up my Instagram and there was the picture. And you were like, this is for you, man. Because another one of the reasons why I liked talking with Mike is he is a true collector at heart. It's not just a money game for him. He's not here just to make profits and margins and all these things. He's in it for the hobby. He loves collecting. He's got his players that he collects, his sets that he collects, and all that kind of stuff. So, and I respected that a lot. You guys know here on the channel, we're big on that too. That's the reason why I let my son join me on the videos, because we're building a bond together. We're building a collection together. It's not about money and all that stuff. So I thought that was a good direction to go in. But yes, Upper Deck EPAC. I myself have only purchased 2 or 3 hobby boxes. And then my favorite part of EPAC is that I can log in and just buy like one pack. So for me, I've actually been hunting that Bedard Gold Outburst that may or may not be on EPAC, the Celebrini Gold Outburst that may or may not be on EPAC, and the fact that I can just log in and buy one hobby pack for $12.99 or one Series 2 from Bedard Year for $19.99. It's just a good little shot, almost like going to the gas station and buy a scratcher. See what you can get. And it goes really well that way. It's very convenient in terms of just hopping in, buying a pack or two, and, could hit a life-changing card, honestly. So that's how I kind of like to use EPAC. How do you normally approach your EPAC usage?
Yeah, so I mean, convenience is the biggest factor as to why most people use EPAC, right? I don't have to go 30 minutes, drive to the store, try to see if they have what I need in stock, right? I can just, from my couch, watching a hockey game, decide I want to scratch that itch and grab a couple packs, grab a box, or if I'm feeling real frisky, a case of whatever I want that's on there. But honestly, the biggest thing that I like about EPAC, and I think is one of the most overlooked factors of it, is the trading platform that it is. So I don't have to hope that somebody posts something somewhere about a card that they have and they want to offer it up in a trade. I can literally just search for a specific card and see if somebody has it. What else do they have in their collection? And then look at what they want on their wish list. I can then bundle a trade and put together something that I would not never be able to do unless I was going to card shows every other week, or had a small community in my local area. So the ability to trade on EPAC is just one of the many benefits I see out of the platform. I mean, wouldn't you love to be able to, be able to trade some more of your cards for those, Panthers that are, okay, I
It,
guess.
it it does make it a lot easier because right now I find myself in that section where you have to like sell the cards to then buy the cards that you want or to buy more boxes. So it's much easier to have access to a platform where all the cards you may be interested are already there listed and someone's looking to actively trade them. And I think that's one of the aspects of EPAC that a lot of casual hockey card collectors don't know of or don't understand. Because one thing that I've noticed since coming into the hobby, and again, if you guys have been here on the channel, I've really only been inside the hockey card hobby for about a year. I've been in card collecting for forever, right? Pokemon cards, basketball cards, football cards. Like I've done it all, but I've only been in hockey cards for about a year now. So I'm still learning a lot here and there. And I was completely unaware that there was this big trading platform for EPAC because a lot of people have a negative connotation on EPAC. Oh, it's just upper deck, money grubbing, trying to get money from you, all that kind of stuff. But when you sit back and look at all the features that EPAC has, I definitely agree that it is a cool thing if you utilize all aspects of it. And it is cool that I'll be sitting here, or sitting at work or, doing whatever, and my phone will just go off and it'll be like, you have a trade request and someone's looking to send you some of the cards that you've been wanting, and cards, and you just have to give up cards that you're fine giving up, and it's really not that big of a deal at the end of the day. I've completed a bunch of trades on there. I've actually had viewers of the channel like reach out and be like way super generous with trades, give me like 15, 16 Panthers cards and just ask for like, oh, just give me that one little Young Guns over there, whatever. And I'm like, dang, I made it like a bandit. So thank you for everybody who's been sending me random trades on EPAC. But that's definitely a part of it that I think needs to be more educated. I think Upper Deck needs to market it more. I think they need to put that side of the platform out there more for collectors to see so they can understand the product a little bit better. Because also, something else that can come with the trading is the exclusive cards that you can trade in, right? I believe there are, if you get like 5, 6, or like 10 of certain cards, you can trade them in. Would you mind explaining that a little bit better so people know what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know, on EPAC, you don't get to keep the base cards for most sets, right? They aren't physical cards. You can collect them in your EPAC account, but most of the inserts and the hits are ones that you could eventually ship home or to your ComC account or whatever. One of the cool things that they have, though, are some exclusive parallels that are on EPAC where you can trade in a number of base cards to get that exclusive parallel. So, for instance, for Series 1 and 2, you can go ahead and take, if you have 10 base cards of the same player, you can trade that in for a rainbow foil version of the base card. You have 10 rainbow foil versions, you can then trade that in for a speckle foil version of the base card. So it's just some cool things that you can't get anywhere else. One of your favorite inserts or favorite sets, Allure, they have a special sunset insert that you can go, and if you actually check your inbox, you may have a Matthew Kachuk sunset trade in there for you. But it's really cool that they do have those exclusive parallels on EPAC. But one of the things that I think is most controversial are the non-exclusive parallels or the non-exclusive chase cards that some people are saying are only in EPAC or tend to have a higher propensity in EPAC. What do you think about things like the Logan Cooley, 1 of 1 gold outburst and the Adam Fantilli being found in EPAC?
I think that's where a lot of the negative connotation comes from with EPAC. And that's why I think they need to market more of the other side of things like the trading and the upgrading and things like that, because a lot of stuff that only makes it out to the casual fan is, oh, did you see the Golden Outburst Logan Cooley get pulled in EPAC, which technically means it was never shipped to any hobby stores ever, right? So, in the biggest controversy, it's always hard for me to say that word, controversy, with that is EPAC sets a lot of times get released 2 to 3 months after physical product has hit your hobby store shelves. So if you are specifically a Logan Cooley fan, a Logan or a Utah fan, and you're looking to pull and hunt that Logan Cooley, and you've bought a case, right, or 2 or 3 hobby boxes, hoping that you can pull that Logan Cooley, come to find out, it never made it out into the public because it was an EPAC the entire time. That is kind of what builds some negativity around the EPAC stuff, because some people just won't buy EPAC because, you and I have chatted a little bit before. Some people like having the physical cards in their hands. They don't want anything digital. They may not know that they can get it sent to them physically. They don't want to pay the $4 shipping that it costs to get sent to you physically, all that stuff. So it causes a bit of controversy. See, I did it again. Controversy. But overall, Logan Cooley, Adam Fantilli, Gold Outbursts, and EPAC. Connor Bedard, renewed Golden Outburst inside EPAC. And Celebrini, Gold Outburst, still out there. Bedard, Gold Outburst, still out there. I think a lot of people would be happier with Upper Deck. That was a deep one. If they said, yes, it is an EPAC, or no, it is not an EPAC, it is in physical product, so people know where to hunt. So, what are your thoughts on Upper Deck potentially keeping one-of-one cards, right? So I think they definitely should be more transparent about it. I would love for them to do exactly that. This one-of-one card, the Gold Outbursts, are in physical hobby only. You can get a Crystal Outburst inside of EPAC, right? Exclusive one-of-ones for hobby and EPAC separately, just for more transparency. That's my thought, my opinion. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the way forward, right? Is compromise. Personally, I don't mind it being an EPAC as long as they really are not influencing the cards that go on EPAC, right? If it's truly just a random luck of the draw, I don't
Right.
see any problem with it. The accessibility of EPAC is anybody can purchase these things, right? You don't have to live close to a card store. It doesn't have to get shipped to your card store. It can be one of the many, many boxes that are out there, and everybody has the same chance on EPAC. The other thing too with these gold 101 cards, people act like if they were in hobby stores, they would have pulled it, right?
I would have,
There's
man.
still it's such a low probability that you'd pull one of these, anyways, right? So I don't think it's really moving the needle too much there. But compromise is the way forward. Maybe they do that where it's gold outbursts are in EPAC, or sorry, in physical hobby, and then they have a teal outburst in
Right.
EPAC that's a one of one, and really give chase cards that are equivalent in both areas. Right. I think that's a pretty good way to move forward. They really should be listening to the population of the users that actually use EPAC and see
Mm-hmm.
what they think, as well as their hobby fans. So it's a really good platform, I think, overall. But I don't have any problem that some of these cards make their way into EPAC as the
Yeah.
chase cards, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think you were saying something earlier too about um, the way that EPAC kind of works, because I don't think a lot of people know how it works. And you mentioned something along the lines of hobby boxes and hobby cases end up going to ComC and are they're scanned and things like that. So break that down just briefly, real quick. How does that look? Because I'm sure some people just assume that it's just a computer algorithm, right? That the gold Bedard is sitting behind a crystal enshrinement behind the CEO of Upper Deck's desk, waiting for it to, for him to click that button. Yeah, it's okay to go out on EPAC now. Explain how the EPAC system works a little bit when someone is opening a box.
Yeah, I mean, I don't 100% know, but the
Mm-hmm.
the mechanism for it is more or less Upper Deck reserves a specific amount for EPAC, or what I think is probably more likely is that a lot of these boxes, they're never going to get through the overproduced supply. So
Right.
that's a way for them to not have to ship additional boxes out to hobby stores that are never going to sell, right? They can just keep them and get them direct to the consumer. But yeah, they usually proportion a certain percentage off of the total amount of cards that are created physically. They do create those physical cards,
Mm-hmm.
and then they give that proportion for EPAC to ComC, who physically rips open the packs, scans all of the cards, and then has them ready and raring to go for EPAC. So as
Yeah.
long as that is truly completely random and they are only divvying up based on a certain percentage or what they think will sell in the physical stores, I don't have a problem with it. It is that concern, right? And there are a lot of people that are concerned about the hobby and some of the shenanigans that are being
Mm-hmm.
played, right? Um, I think that it's okay as long as there are no shenanigans behind the scenes, but there's really no way to know that.
Yeah, there's really not. And, I for one, my opinion, and I would love to know your guys' opinion down in the comment section if you're watching this video. I tend to believe that Upper Deck is more on the up and up with this sort of a thing because at the end of the day, they're just trying to sell boxes. They really don't, unlike hobby stores, unlike individual collectors, even unlike distributors, Upper Deck doesn't really have anything to gain by holding back a Connor Bedard card, right? Because they're still going to sell the boxes at a certain price. They're still going to sell, the packs at a certain price at their stores. Their blasters aren't going to change. Like they're just trying to produce product and get product out to the masses. And, worrying about one or two cards really at the end of the day isn't going to change the amount sold. It's just not to where and we can always talk about this in a future episode to where, if certain places are putting bounties on a card and then increasing the price that they're selling that box for by 200%, they have direct gain from the quote unquote things that they're doing to where Upper Deck really doesn't, so it wouldn't be financially beneficial for them to hold back certain cards to try to sell more boxes at inflated prices because a lot of times the inflation in prices comes from the hobby stores themselves or the distributors themselves, not from Upper Deck. So I like to think that they're on the up and up. That you're going to have your conspiracy theorists out there. I could be proven wrong. It's not a guarantee, but that's just my opinion, and that's the whole point of these conversation pieces. This is our opinions, it's our thoughts, and we would love to hear from you guys down in the comment section what you guys think. But overall, I think EPAC is a good thing. And if you break it down percentage wise, the amount of hobby boxes that they set aside and sent to ComC, it would make sense that there's a couple of good one of ones in there compared to how many are sent out and about in the world. It's probably a very large number that are set aside for EPAC and opened by ComC and stuff. So, but yeah, so that's my thoughts. I think they're on the up and up. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are, reliable corporate America. They're always so responsible, but truthfully, I think that
Capitalism.
it would be way worse for them to really manage that in any sort of way that is
That's my
not on the
point.
up and
Yep.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a bad look, and
And
you
as many
kind of
people
lose.
that have worked for Upper Deck, it would have gotten out at some point.
Yeah, once I see something to otherwise, I obviously think that it's in the realm of possibilities, right?
Of
Don't get me
course.
wrong.
Never say
Stranger things
never.
have happened, but the randomness is what people like, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
that gambling feeling that at any point it could be me that picks up that card. Other collectors are truly just after building their collection out. There's a reason I still purchase physical boxes so that way I can put all the Series 1 and Series 2 cards in a binder and look at them from time to time, right? There is that good factor to them, but
Yep.
yeah, the the convenience factor is going to be the biggest thing there, and I don't think that they would want to jeopardize that. You know, Joe or Sally going and getting in a pack while they're just sitting on the couch, doing
Right.
something else. So
Yeah, like you're saying, you can just pull up your phone and rip a pack real quick. You don't have to put your shoes on, put on your joggers, run outside, and run to your local hobby store and grab one off the shelf. But I want to talk about
In
the
fact,
future
I'm
here for a
e-packing
second.
right now.
Yeah, will
Yeah.
you put the EPAC down? We're recording, Mike. Come on. So yeah, no, I want to talk about the future here for a second, right? So obviously the world is becoming much more digital every day, every week, every month. Everything's become more digital. Do you think EPAC is going to play a larger? I guess it's going to be a bigger player in the game in the future, or do you think that like hard grabbing your cards, putting them in binders is going to be the way to go, or do you truly see like almost I don't want to say NFT style, because that's a whole nother freaking can of worms, but just almost like that style of people will be much more accepting of holding on to an electronic collection and maybe just get the big hits sent to them physically. Do you see more of that being viable in the future as time goes on, like everything else in the world being more digital? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be affecting the boxes that they released today physically. You may
Right.
see some of like the ones that are phased out, like a trilogy or a synergy, become EPAC exclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the ones that are 2, 3 cards a pack. It's not huge print runs, or like you don't have. At some point, there is a diminishing return because they have to physically print the cards, even the base
Yeah.
cards they print, and then they just don't send them out as physical cards. So I do foresee though more exclusive EPAC
Mm-hmm.
type brands, right? Like Ovation, like
Right.
the Clear Ultra. I think that was something that you were saying you actually used to rip back in the day, right?
Love those sets
So
back in the day.
yeah, so I think that you will start to see more of those exclusive sets come out. But like I said, at some point, if they're printing all of these cards, they want to physically get them out there, or otherwise it's a waste for them to print.
And speaking of that, and this is where so like let's pretend for a second that we're sitting at an upper deck, table. We work for upper deck. We're board members. We're sitting around the table right there, right? Talking about overhead, talking about cost of materials, talking about shipping, talking about all these things, right? Overhead, overhead, overhead. You know, in the future, do you see them potentially going down an avenue of printing to order on EPAC, right? So let's take for probably starting with exclusive sets, right? So let's just talk about let's say they decide to make EX 2000 or they'll go to EX 2001, an EPAC exclusive. Instead of printing all of the cards immediately and then loading them up into EPAC and then you can choose to ship them, what if they didn't print the cards until they were pulled on EPAC? How much money would Upper Deck save by doing it that way? Like, hey, we're going to let you open up all these digital cards and we're not actually going to print these cards until we have enough of them to ship out to people and stuff like that. Like, do you see that in the future potentially being a thing? Because that would save Upper Deck a lot of money. And I can almost guarantee you it has at least been a conversation had at the CEO's table.
Buddy, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. They already do that. Right.
Really?
So yeah. So during the Four Nations tournament, I'll give an example. They had a Four Nations pack that you could
Okay. Yep.
purchase. Those cards were not printed yet. So you were able to go rip packs, get rare parallels in some of the packs, trade cards in, trade with your friends. But those cards only became available, several months later. They
Right.
do actually print them. They did
So they were
another
pre-sold
special
essentially.
release for yeah, they did another special release for I think the Ovechkin goal record, right?
Yes, I remember
So
that.
they are doing that. I would like to see with a truly larger set, right, a more substantial set, whether or
Yeah.
not they would go that route in doing it. But to me, that does make sense, right? You
It's
now
almost
are
like
not
they're
don't have
opening the door for it, right? Like the
yeah,
Tops Now
absolutely.
cards, right? Like Tops Now cards are pretty much the same thing. And I did open like the 25 draft, right? With the superhero, the DC superhero cards. Those are probably the same thing. They're probably going to know exactly how many they need to print before they print so they're not wasting any materials, wasting any money. That makes total sense. And now that you mentioned those sets, because I didn't think about those exclusivity, like oh, you got 3 months to order this Ovechkin breaking the record goal, and then it's gone forever. Like that's
Yeah.
definitely in like Tops Now does the same thing. It's almost like that could be them like testing the waters of, hey, O-Pee-Chee Platinum moving forward, we're only going to print what's ordered on EPAC and print to order, so we're saving money, so we're not throwing all this crap away at the end of the day. That's crazy to think that they could be testing the waters on that.
Yeah, let me ask you, because you're a collector like me, right? Would you buy more EPAC? Because today they don't ship out the base cards, but for an exclusive set that wasn't pre-printed, you could
Mm-hmm.
choose how many base cards you want sent to you, right? So if they sent out any base cards that you wanted, and now you could send yourself, one, two copies of the base cards instead of having them pile up and pile up,
Right.
knowing that you're never gonna actually,
One
put
for
them
the
in a
binder.
binder or trade them or whatever,
Yep.
right? That actually seems like more people would buy into that, because then they can control their own inventory at their house, right? We have finite amount of space here. We need to, not have so many cards that are building up in our closets.
Yep.
That is another way, right, that we could potentially leverage EPAC. Is that something that you would be interested in?
Definitely, because I have, those 5,000 card boxes, and I think I had to find something to do with them because I had 14 of them stacked up in one spot in my closet, so I had to start finding a new place for them. And that's just for the hockey cards. That's not to mention any of the other cards that I buy, again, like other sports or Pokemon or anything like that. That was just my hockey section. So yeah, I definitely could see that. Something I don't like is talking about like those Tops Now cards. I don't like that you just buy one card for $5.99 and you have an opportunity to get a parallel. I don't really like that. I think Upper Deck has like dated moments or something like that. I don't remember exactly what they're called.
Yeah, game dated moments.
Yeah, because it's almost like enticing people to buy 20 of one card. And then they ship it to
Right.
you, and it still is just 20 of the one card, and you did not get a single parallel. And it's like, well, crap, I just spent $100 buying 20 of these, hoping to get one short print parallel or autograph parallel, and now I just have 20 of this base card. Because 99% of the time, that's what you're going to get at the end of the day. So I at least like the pack style of it, where you can get multiple different cards on that opportunity for the parallels and the short prints and all that stuff, so you can still have something for your collection regardless, other than just buying the one card. So if they stuck that type of mentality like you were talking about with still buying packs, yeah, I think it would be a definitely a good thing. It would prevent a lot of just this kind of stuff sitting around on my desk for, it's been here for like 3 weeks now. I need to do something with it. And it's just a bunch of young guns that I have to sort through. But just make it easier on everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, I'm thinking through it, and like one of the big reasons I only buy stuff, or primarily buy stuff that I've already ripped physical copies of, is you can't know what those cards actually look like until you have them in your hand. So
I agree.
there have been plenty of cases where I've seen a card and it looks amazing on EPAC, and I get it and I go, that's, doesn't really look like the picture.
Yep.
On the other side of it, when I pulled that Matthew Kachuk Golden Treasures, I had no idea it was a Golden Treasures card. It didn't look like anything. It just gave me the
The
brrr,
beep, beep. Yeah.
yeah, the big goal horn. So sometimes the cards don't look great on there, and then when you hold them in your hands, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a very dynamic looking card, and it's
Yep.
super attractive. So I think that they would need to do a better job of giving you a feel for what the cards actually look like if they want you to purchase, massive amounts of cards there
Yeah.
like you would out of a normal hobby box.
Yeah, they definitely got to get a better system for it, because I agree when I did that video where I opened up the Allure hobby box, some of them were scanned very well, and then some of them looked like they were scanned on a potato. So I was like, I don't even like why is this? They're both the same. They're not even parallels. Like they're both base cards. One looks gloriously sky blue, and the other one looks like it was dropped in the mud. So they definitely gotta increase the visuality of it, I think, to get people more engaged. So But awesome, Mike. Thank you so much for this conversation. If you guys want more conversation videos, we do plan on doing a couple of these every single month, 2 or 3 every single month, maybe one a week, depending on how things go. It was a lot of fun. If you guys, like this kind of stuff, hit that like button. Let us know down in the comment section that you want more of this stuff, and make sure you drop a sub. But before we get out of here, Mike is going to be starting up his own channels. So, Mike, tell him a little bit about what you got going on, what platforms you're going to be on, and what your plans are for content over on those channels, so they know what they can expect from you.
Yeah, dude, I'm very excited to start my own channel. Of course, I'm going to have your typical box breaks, right? I want to show people what product is going to look like and get a feel for it as it's coming out. But I'm a big collector, right? And I want to show people also what the collection aspect of this is for me, right? Whether that's building things to display my cards or putting together what I want to display in my house for the week, and there's a theme to it. I want to bring people into that side of things because I think that that's truly why we keep coming back to this, is because it is such a emotional and an attachment that we have to these cards and the hobby itself. So more to come there. I'm also going to be doing some long-term case studies on EPAC and what I can pull over the course of a year. If let's say I pull 1 pack per day and see what we can get out of EPAC. So more to come. Super excited about it, and just thanks for having me today.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video. A lot more to come. We'll see you around.